dumb. Perhaps it was a genuine relationship. Still, Roger had a natural suspicion regarding men who liked younger women and women who liked older men. The guys were usually the womanizing types who skipped town as soon as they had enough, and the girls were usually trying to earn some coin from the stupid prick. So what you're looking at is a relatively short rod, fast action, bends at the tip, but has a lot of backbone. You got a roller at the tip built within the frame of the guide so it doesn't come off. Cliff nodded. What about that one? He pointed at the rod behind Roger. Of course he'd be more interested in the bigger one. This one is for downrigger. This is a hooker electric rod. Roger pulled the rod from the holder built in the gunwale of the boat. This uses a motor that comes off if you want to make it a manual crank, 65-pound test. It's heavier duty. The line comes to a ball-bearing swivel with a clip which can handle a lot of pressure. We put on a 15-pound weight which obviously takes the tackle down to the bottom. Cliff wiped the sweat from his brow with his cap. A North Dakota resident, he wasn't used to the heat down in the Florida Keys. Michelle, on the other hand, didn't seem fazed at all. She leaned against the gunwale, beer in hand, ready to watch her man bag the big one. Big. Seemed guys were obsessed with size. Whether it was boats, fishing rods, biceps, or other parts of their anatomy. Roger couldn't deny that men were obsessed with size, as though bigger was always better. Sometimes that was the case, other times, not so much. His boat was a 40-foot striker. Roger had owned it for 10 years, and in the decade before that he owned another 40-footer. Fishing buddies often bragged to him, stating he should upgrade for 50 or 60 while brandishing their big boats. Needless to say, with the size of the boat also came the size of the debts, and Roger was happy to pay off his vessel in half the time while those braggers still had years to go. He had his motto, bigger isn't always better. Bigger is worse. In Cliff's case, it would be humiliation to give the impression that he was an avid fisherman. No, just another hotshot who caught a few bluegills and now thinks he's an expert. Roger forced himself not to judge too hard. This couple was the first business he had in over a month. It was late July now. What was usually one of the most prosperous months out of the year had been completely sidelined after the big tsunami. Like the hand of God, it swept toward the southern east coast, causing billions in damage and resulting in 50 deaths. Just as fast as the meteor that caused it, reservations were canceled. Who wanted to spend their summer fishing in an area where first responders were searching for sunken vessels and dead bodies? It took a little over a month before things were starting to return to normal. Cliff Dell took advantage of the new openings in Islamorada resorts, even managing to get a discounted price. Clearly, he wanted to get away for a while. Looking at the blonde he brought with him, it was easy for Roger to speculate what he had in mind. Of course, he couldn't help but notice the pale mark on Cliff's left ring finger. Separated, recently divorced, or out of town on a business trip. So you use salmon for bait, right? Squid, actually, Roger said. Oh, you use squid, I see, Cliff said, trying to save face. Roger resisted the urge of saying something like, that's only what we use for swordfish, but figured humiliating the guy wouldn't get him anywhere. At the end of the day, all he cared about was the paycheck, and to be fair, Cliff Dell was paying handsomely. How big do swordfish get? Michelle asked. Up to 1,500 pounds, Roger said. I heard they can get up to 2,000, Cliff said, holding the rod like a knight with a broadsword. You're thinking marlin, Roger said. There you go, thinking about size. The captain climbed to the flybridge and looked at his chart. They were nearing the destination. 10 miles east of Islamorada and 12 miles north of Cielo Nublado was his lucky spot for swordfish. In his cabin below, he proudly framed photos of his own catch, one with a 1,400-pound swordfish among images of his other trophies acquired over the years. All right, you guys ready to deploy the bait? Damn right I am, Cliff said. You'll do great, babe, Michelle said. He slapped her ass and took a beer from the cooler. Roger pretended not to notice as he descended the ladder to the main deck. Couples having fun was one thing, but extramarital flings were something else entirely. When he arrived, Cliff was holding the hooker electric rod triumphantly. Let's get this party started. The confidence in his face waned after the first hour. By the end of the second hour, Cliff was starting to subtly ask questions of other fishing spots. Where'd you get that fish in the photo inside? How many places you usually fish? Roger knew the score. They were almost 3 hours in now. The time was nearing 6. Despite what Roger had explained when they made their reservation, Cliff clearly thought he was going to hook a fish within a half hour.